What's good, YouTube? It's Justice. I used to be Pay, and today I'm back with another video. And today I'm going to be talking about Playboi Carti and his label Opium, and why I think it's now officially time for him to give his artists features. It's been a point of contention over the past couple of years as to why Carti has never really given his artists features. He's never been on any of their projects, and they've never been on any of his. So it's just been kind of weird because most of the time, whenever an artist runs a label like an Opium or an NBA or YSL, the main artist or the artist that runs the label gives a lot of features to the guys that are signed to the label because obviously they're trying to help put them on. So they'll be on their projects and the smaller artists will be on, the big artist projects because that's a lot more attention. You saw it with Cactus Jack and Travis Scott and Don Toliver. Don Toliver was featured on Astroworld before anyone literally knew who he was outside of Houston. Like, I don't think anybody really knew who Don Toliver was. We were just like, oh, who's this guy? He sounds pretty solid. Like, kind of that sort of thing. And it worked out really well for Don Toliver. You know, Travis Scott doesn't have to consistently push him every single time, but, because he worked with Travis Scott, he got that exposure to that major audience, and it helped him in his career. And so it's been kind of strange to see Cardi not do that for his artists. It's been really weird. The whole Opium label as itself, as a thing, as an entity, has been a little bit different than everyone else's label. It's been a little bit strange, but I think for the most part it's working, and I think they're doing stuff that most other labels aren't doing, which is cool. But I think it's gotten to the point now in which Cardi should give his artists features because last year when everyone in Opium dropped, pretty much Ken, Lone, and even Homicide Gang, everyone was talking about, well, why? There was a whole bunch of theories. Why is Cardi not giving them features? Why does Cardi not post their albums on, his Instagram? Why does Cardi not post their albums on Twitter and stuff? And I know some, Cardi super fans are going to be like, actually, he posted them on his Finsta, bro. You know what I mean. We're talking about his main Instagram. We don't care about his Finsta. And so the main reason that a lot of people came to, and the conclusion that I came to myself as well, is that Cardi didn't want to give his artists features yet because he wanted them to establish themselves outside of his brand. Because Playboi Carti has a very polarizing personality. It's very polarizing. It sticks out like a sore thumb. Everyone knows what type of, aura and persona Playboi Carti has, and it's very recognizable to the point in which people who aren't even really Cardi fans will say, oh, that person's trying to be like Cardi. Oh, he's trying to be like Cardi. And it's kind of like a meme, like everyone wants to be Cardi, right? So it's a very recognizable persona, and it's something that's very, I won't say it's super unique to Cardi, because there are other people that are like kind of adjacent to it, but it's very just recognizable. It's very recognizable, and it's very distinct, that sort of Playboi Carti persona, and the way he acts and the way he dresses and his aesthetic. Like, it's very distinct to Playboi Carti, so it's very recognizable. And whenever you're signed to Playboi Carti, you're going to be thrown under that label as well. So Destroy Lonely, Ken Carson specifically, they don't want to be known as Cardi clones, right? They're signed to Cardi. They have similar aesthetics, similar types of music. Otherwise, I don't think Cardi would sign them, because they wouldn't fit into the Opium label. But they're obviously very different from Cardi as well. And that's pretty apparent to anybody who actually listens to Destroy Lonely and Ken Carson. But the thing is, how many people were really listening to Ken Carson and Destroy Lonely and Homicide Gang? So I think the reason that Cardi wasn't, prominently, kind of in the shadows or whatever they were doing, or giving out features or posting them all the time, is because he wanted them to establish their own identities outside of himself. Because a year ago, if he would have gave Destroy Lonely a feature, it probably would have been like, oh, who's this Cardi clone? If he would have put, Destroy Lonely and Ken Carson on A Whole Lot of Red, it would have been like, oh, who are these Cardi clones that are on A Whole Lot of Red? Now, obviously, they're not Cardi clones, but that would have been the perception that the public took. And I think that Opium is very well aware of this, and that's why they've been kind of distant from Cardi. Obviously, everyone who knows anything about them knows that they're signed to Cardi and that they're Opium, but it's pretty well apparent that they're their own artists. That Ken Carson is his own artist. Destroy Lonely is his own artist. Homicide Gang is their own act. Like, it's pretty well apparent at this point, and even to casual listeners, right? Like with If Looks Could Kill, that just sold around like 28K, 30K, something like that. Destroy Lonely is establishing his own place in the mainstream audience today. He's establishing his own mainstream music spot for himself. He's establishing that. And he's establishing it on his own pretty much. I mean, there's like one feature on If Looks Could Kill, and it's a bonus. So that's what I mean by letting his artists establish themselves, letting them be known to the public before they're known as associated with Cardi. Even though if you know anything about him, you'll be like, oh, okay, this is a Cardi artist. Or even if you listen to him and you say, oh, this guy kind of reminds me of Cardi, you're not going to immediately go, Cardi clone. Because that's what a lot of people will do. And that's what happened to a whole bunch of artists coming up over the years. That's what happened to Gunna for a while. You know, everyone was just saying, oh, he's a Young Thug clone, until they really started to appreciate him for his own artistry. And I think that's what Opium was trying to avoid by not giving Ken Carson and Destroy Lonely and Homicide Gang features until this point. But now at this point, I think I can't really say so much for Homicide Gang, but especially and specifically for Ken Carson and Destroy Lonely, I think they're ready for a Cardi feature. And I don't mean like, oh, they're good enough now. I just mean they're at a point in their career in which if you don't know anything about them, you're probably not going to know anything about them for a while. And so it won't hurt them too bad to be getting this Cardi feature. I think they've established 45 of their own artistry, and they have enough of their own work, because now they both have multiple projects that are, 45 minutes to an hour long. They both have a foundation now that's solid, to the point in which, okay, they can get a Cardi feature, and all it will do is boost them. It won't hold them back, because they'll just be known as, oh, Cardi clone, Cardi clone. I think they're at a point now, both of them, Ken Carson and Destroy Lonely, that a Cardi feature is nothing but a positive, because they've established their own audience. They've had their own success. They've done their own tours. They've had their own viral moments. So I think it's gotten to a point now in which even the casual rap listener has at least heard these names, or maybe seen a post about Destroy Lonely on Academics, or they've seen, a Ken Carson viral clip, or rap TV posting Ken Carson performing at Rolling Loud or something. Like, they've at least, been introduced to these artists. So I think it's to the point in which it's time for the Cardi feature. It's time for Cardi to either put them on his next project, or him to be on a feature with them, or, because they both just dropped a project. Well, Ken Carson hasn't dropped a project since last year, but still, I think it's time. I think it's time that he gives them that rub, and I think they could go far with it. I think it's time he starts posting them on Instagram, because they've established that they are their own acts. They can survive with or without Cardi. But now it's time to give them that boost, because I promise you, if you get a real Cardi cosign, like, obviously they're cosigned by Cardi, they're signed to Cardi. That's the biggest cosign you can get, is that person wanting you on their label. But once you get a real cosign, a public, I'm rocking with this guy, this is my guy, I'm on his music, check his music out. But once Cardi gives them that real public cosign, I think it could take them to the next level, because we all know Cardi doesn't post that much. He doesn't drop that much music. I don't think he's dropped a single song in the year of 2023. Like, it's a pretty rare event anytime Cardi does anything publicly. So I think him officially giving them a feature and officially posting them and all that stuff, I think it's beneficial. And I think it's time now, because we, as a fan base who, I'm a pretty, I guess, hardcore fan of music, and especially when it comes to like Opium. So I already know about these guys. I already know who they are. I know that they're own acts. But I think the mainstream audience has finally came to an understanding of who these people may be, or at least have some sort of idea outside of Cardi. And even if their first time being introduced to them is through Cardi, they can at least look through their playlist, look through their discography, and see, oh, they have multiple albums. Okay, they have an identity outside of Cardi, which even somebody like Don Toliver didn't really have that. Well, before his feature on Astroworld, he didn't really have an identity outside of those features on Astroworld to the mainstream audience. But they already do. So I think it's time now, and I think it can only help them, because, again, even if their first time being introduced to Ken Carson, Destroy Lonely, or Homicide Gang is through a Cardi feature, or them being featured on Cardi's next project, they can at least go down the line and see, okay, we have, Project X, okay, the album X, okay, No Stylist, okay, I see If Looks Could Kill on here. So there's a foundation there that wasn't there a year ago or 2 years ago. And so I think it's time now to give these artists a feature. And I think Cardi giving them a feature would just be an even bigger boost to these guys' career, because they're already on their way up. But it'd be kind of like a little kick in the butt to get them a little higher up, to get them a little further down the line than what they are right now. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Cardi doesn't ever need to give them a feature. Maybe, he shouldn't. Maybe it's bad for them. I don't know. Leave a comment down below if you like this video. Leave a like if you agreed with what I said. Thank you so much, and leave a comment about why you agreed and add on to my points or whatever. Do something like that. But leave a like, leave a subscribe. I greatly appreciate it. Greatly appreciate you making it this far. Thank you so much. Have a good day. Be safe. Be blessed. Peace.